right, so this evening we will have what's known as a Pabbajja, or a novice ordination, Sāmaṇera Ordination. Anagarika Sean is going to make the request to take on the brown robes. So please, you can invite Anagarika Sean to come up and begin the ceremony. I'll give a bit of explanation as to what's happening as we go.
Okasawandami bante, sabang aparadang kamatame bante, maya katang punyang samina hanumodita bang, samina katang punyang mayang data bang, sadhu, sadhu, hanumodami, okasa karunyang katawa, Pabbajjang deta me bante.
Okay, so this part I just check, see if everything's here, and the sitting cloth, bathing cloth, belt, angsa shoulder cloth, jiwan. You've got a sabang here as well. Okay, very good. Looks like everything is here.
Ahang bante pabbajjang yachami, dutiyampi ahang bante pabbajjang yachami, tatyampi ahang bante pabbajjang yachami, sabba dukkani sarana, nibbana sachikaranataya, imang kasawang gahetva, pabbajjetamang bante, anukampang upadaya, sabba dukkani sarana, Nibbana sachikaranataya, imang kasawang gahetva, pabbajjetamang bante, anukampang upadaya, sabba dukkani sarana, nibbana sachikaranataya, imang kasawang gahetva, pabbajjetamang bante, anukampang upadaya. Sabba dukkani sarana, nibbana sachikaranataya, etang kasawang datva, pabbajjetamang bante, anukampang upadaya, sabba dukkani sarana, nibbana sachikaranataya, etang kasawang datva, pabbajjetamang bante, anukampang upadaya, sabba dukkani sarana, Nibbana sachikaranataya, etang kasawang datva, pabbajjetamang bante, anukampang upadaya.
So this is the beginnings of the Pabbajja, the going forth, the novice ordination, and what I think of as the second gate of ordination. Anagārika is the first gate. Now you're approaching the second gate and requesting to go through the second gate of ordination. And I like to read just this phrase. One is the very beginning of what you chanted with Okasawandami Bante. That's the meaning of that is, please allow me to offer my respects. please grant forgiveness for all my shortcomings. Whatever goodness has been accumulated by me, may I offer it to you, and may I partake in the accumulated goodness of the Venerable One. Out of compassion, permit me to receive the going forth. And this phrase that comes up, Sabba dukkha nisarana, means to cross over all dukkha. Nisarana means to escape or to get out from. So sabba dukkha, all dukkha, every type of dukkha, sabba dukkha nisarana. And then there's the nibbana sachikaranataya. In order to actualize, in order to realize nibbana, imang kasawa gahitawa, taking these robes, please, Venerable Sir, Paba jetamang bhante anukampang upadaya, out of compassion, grant me the going forth. So that was that phrase was chanted by you 3 times, and you offered me the tray. And then the next one is very similar, but it's having offered this tray out of compassion, grant me the going forth. So that's the etang kasawang datwa, having given those robes, may you grant me the going forth. And so, of course, we've already discussed it with the community and decided to accept you as a Sāmaṇera candidate. And also the going forth has the 10 precepts as its foundation. Really, it's a bit of an oddity of something happened in the history of these forms of ordination where it's actually just adding 1 precept, but precept number 7, the precept to refrain from entertainment, beautification, and adornment, gets split into 2. So precept number 7 for you will be to refrain from entertainment, and then precept number 8 would be to refrain from beautification and adornment, and then precept number 9 would be to refrain from lying on a high or luxurious sleeping place, and precept number 10, which is really the big change with the novice ordination, is to refrain from accepting or using money. So, and you've already done that, having relinquished money and put your assets on hold to try out this form of training. It can be a great blessing. And then at the beginning of the novice ordination, what we do is we give you what's called the mula kammatthana. So kama means action. It's like the law of kamma. So kammatthana is the basis of practice. Thana is foundation. So the foundation of practice, and mula means the root. So the root foundation of your practice will be the 5 meditation objects, which get formally assigned to all people who take on requests. The pabbajja is the 5 meditation objects of hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and skin. And it can seem a little bit odd at first. Why would these be the root meditation objects, which, when gained insight into them, lead to liberation of the heart, are said to lead to full liberation, arhatship, if one gains full insight into them. And we teach these because these are actually the visible part of a human body. So when we see another person, that's what we're seeing. The external form, the rupa khandha, is just made up of those basic things. It's very ordinary, and we have a lot of things inside of us, the organs and so on, but what we teach is what we can see. So this is very immediate. So just hair of the body, hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin. The teeth is the visible part of our skeleton and so on. The body is wrapped up in skin all over. And so we learn to look into these things and gain insight into these things, and eventually see that these things, through gaining insight, are impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self. They're not something that I can say is me or belonging to me, because they eventually don't follow my wishes, and they will follow their own nature. They will follow their own nature in the end, and they're just going to disintegrate, deteriorate according to their nature. So this is really the practice the insight that we're looking for with these things. And over time, if we really do this practice and we really get creative with it, then we can actually gain insight into it, but we will have to come at it from every different angle. And so another reason why these 5 meditation objects are taught at the novice ordination is you will be wearing the robe for the first time, this what we call the banner of the Arhants, and it's in this rice field of Magadha pattern that we all wear, that the bhikkhus wear. So you will be wearing the same jiwan, or the same upper robe, as the bhikkhus. Of course, you won't have an outer robe, you won't have a sangati yet, you won't have this this robe that we wear over our shoulders in the pujas and in our ceremonies, in our sangha kammas, but you will have the jiwan robe, and you will be able to train in wearing that, which perhaps by the end of your year as a Sāmaṇera, you will be starting to get the hang of it, how to keep it on and keep it from slipping off, falling off. But until then, it's very good for mindfulness. And coming back to why we teach these 5 kammatthana objects, is because with the robe wraps those things up, and whatever happens with our body, then it comes into contact with the robe. And because we don't have much clothing, we have to see that our robe needs to be looked after. It needs to be washed and cleaned often, or else the oils from, say, our skin, from our body, hair of the body might rub off into it, and so on. And these things go into the robe, and we do have to wash and look after it constantly, or else it becomes unpleasant, something that is unwished for, undesirable. And then with the robe as a requisite, which is constantly in contact with our body, then that also, through observing the way the robe is, and also watching it wear out and having to change a robe eventually, then we also can gain those insights into the impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self nature of all of these things. So without further ado, I will assign you in Pali these 5 meditation objects. So if you could first come forward. And you could back up a little bit to your seat there. You can repeat after me. Kesa, Loma, Naka, Danta, Tacho, Danta, Naka, Loma, Kesa. Okay, and can invite you to then go and wrap up those 5 meditation objects in those robes. Don't think so. there's some stories in the suttas of 7-year-old boys becoming novices. So we tend to say that that's the minimum age. And to become a bhikkhu, then you have to be at least 20 years of age. But to become a novice, you can become a novice at the age of 7. However, for Ajahn Chah created this standard of becoming a Anagārika for a period of time. We do it 1 year here, and novice for a period of time. Here we do it for 1 year as well. And it could be more than that, or maybe slightly less. And the reason for this is, he would say, if you have to wait a long time before becoming a bhikkhu, then you will, chances are you will stay ordained for a longer period of time. But if you are able to ordain as a bhikkhu quickly, you'll disrobe quickly. So say, like if we make it difficult to ordain, then it's difficult to disrobe. If we make it easy to ordain, then it's easy to disrobe. I say, bụt yak, suk yak, bụt ngai, suk ngai. So this idea that actually making it difficult to kind of get through to the bhikkhu ordination. And it's also a time when one can actually say, is this what I want to do? Is this the vocation that I want to take up as a lifestyle? And so with Anagarika Sean, he's been in the whites for over a year now, and so he's been in the monastery for a good long period of time, and done his duty as a kitchen manager and all sorts of driving. And one of the reasons we do this as well, and we don't ordain people right away as bhikkhus, is because for the Anagārika training, having to manage the kitchen, having to do all sorts of service in the monastery, and really becoming really a steward of the monastery temporarily, then when you do actually take up either novice or bhikkhu ordination, and then people come with offerings of food, you really know firsthand how much work goes into it, and we don't take it for granted. So it just takes a tremendous amount of work each day to come up with the menu and do the cooking and so on, and look after the food and make sure that the food is good quality, that it hasn't gone off, and look after it properly, and doing the dishes and just the daily grind of just the kitchen. And if any of us, all of us here who ordained at Abhayagiri, we've all been through this Anagarika training. Of course, there's been different eras at Abhayagiri. When Ajahn Krunadhammo was in Anagarika, or when I was in Anagarika, the kitchen was much, much smaller than it is now. You could maybe fit 3 people in the kitchen when Ajahn Krunadhammo was in Anagarika, I think. But now it's much different. But we've all been through this. We've all had to do that time in the whites. And then I know for myself, it really instilled in me this incredible sense of gratitude for the offerings that we do receive as bhikkhus who are dependent on offerings from the lay community, dependent on the food offerings, dependent on the gifts of others for sustaining our life. And so really it does show us that it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort to just, and then not even to speak of people who come up from the Bay Area or even further away sometimes with offerings of food for us. So we become incredibly grateful for this. So when now novice Sean comes back, then he will be requesting, formally taking the 10 precepts of the novice. And then after that, the end of the ceremony would be the taking of dependence, formal taking of dependence on the teacher. Also, it's taking dependence on the community. And for the novice, they truly do depend on the community, even though they can still technically, say, offer things to bhikkhus. They don't need to have things necessarily offered to them, but without the use of money, giving up a lot of freedoms. So it is one step closer to that complete dependence of having to really rely on the lay community. Also, he will have a bowl, so for the first time he'll be able to walk on the alms round, which will be a new experience for him. And that's a very big part of our practice, a very important part of our practice, is actually directly receiving those offerings from the lay community when we walk on alms round. It's an incredibly important tradition to keep going. And of course, in Thailand, they go on alms round every day in the forest monasteries. Here we do it once a week on the lunar observance days, and the community was on alms round today. And it's that people enjoy that opportunity to be able to be generous, and that it can be very moving to receive the generosity from the lay people, from all walks of life, people who aren't necessarily Buddhist, people who aren't necessarily practitioners, but people who still have that idea that generosity is beneficial. So it can be very powerful, and then it reminds us to cultivate our mind, to cultivate wholesome qualities, to really do what we can to fulfill wholesome qualities in the mind and the heart. There's all sorts of things about the novice and the bhikkhu training which are really incredible that the Buddha set up to foster those wholesome qualities. These stages of ordination, I also find they're quite joyous occasions, and something that I know for myself I really delight in is seeing people requesting to move forward and seeing the benefit in the training, and the community delighting in that. So I could observe that today, people expressing their delight and giving Anagarika Sean encouragement in moving forward in his next step, and making it into a very special occasion, and quite lovely to see everybody getting into it. It also, here he comes now. It takes a little while to put the robes on for the first time. Please go ahead and continue with the next part of the ceremony. Requesting the precepts.
Okasawandami bante. Sabang aparadang kamatame bante. Maya katang punyang samina anumoditabang. Samina katang punyang mayang databang. Sadhu, sadhu, anumodami. Okasa karunyang katawa. Tisaranena saha. Silani deta me bante. Ahang bante sarana silang yachami. Dutiyampi ahang bante sarana silang yachami. Tatyampi ahang bante sarana silang yachami.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Yamahang vadami tang vadehi.
Okasa amabante.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Ti saranakamanang nititang.
Okasa amabante.
Panatipata veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Panatipata veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Abrahmacharya veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Abhramacharya veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Musawada veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Musawada veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Suramiraya majapamadhatana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Suramerya maja pamadatana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Vikala bhojana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Vikala bhojana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Nacha gita varita visukadasana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Nacha gita vadita visukadasana Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami.
Mala ganda vilepana dharana mandana vibhusanatana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Mala Ganda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanatana Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami.
Ucha sayana mahasayana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Uchasayana Mahasayana Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami.
Jata rupa rajata patikahana veramani sikapadang samadhiyami.
Jata Rupa Rajata Patigahana Veramani Sikapadang Samadhiyami.
Imani dasa sikapadani samadhiyami.
Imani Okasa Amabante. Imani Dasa Sikapadani Samadhiyami. Imani Dasa Sikapadani Samadhiyami. Imani Dasa Sikapadani Samadhiyami.
So, good riddance to those whites. That's various things we say about that. Like one is, like when the whites eventually turn brown, it's like you've been well cooked in the kitchen. The kitchen is, you've become well done, and now we can take you out of the oven, and you've turned brown. So with these precepts, these 10 precepts, which are now the foundation for your life, you've got the 5 kamatana objects and the 10 precepts, and you can now train and practice with that. And as an Anagārika, you've done well. That's really the baseline for staying at Abhayagiri, living at Abhayagiri, is the keeping of the 8 precepts. And so now increasing that a little bit, which will help to increase mindfulness. And we don't have to have money as a burden anymore, and training the mind to not have to think about it anymore. And it's a great privilege, a great blessing to be able to give things up like the phone and have limited computer use. These things are a great blessing to just free the mind up and be able to just dive headfirst into the study of Dhamma Vinaya. And of course the Vinaya classes we'll be undertaking during the Vasa period, the Rains Retreat period, where you'll be able to learn more about the Bhikkhu precepts, and it'll become more real for you now that you're wearing the Bhikkhu robe, the brown robe. And then the Dhamma, just really continuing that study of Dhamma and learning how to see it everywhere, see it in everything. And we are the living Dhamma, so the Dhamma is this body and mind, and it's teaching us all the time, it's revealing itself to us all the time. And so this form is very, very helpful for the study of Dhamma Vinaya, and really also helpful for the relinquishment, eventually the relinquishment of, say, the sense of conceit, the sense of self that is always going to be residual for us, that we have just from our lifetime. And when we take on a form like this, where you just look like everybody else, shaved head, brown robe, we look very similar. We have our own characteristics, our own personalities, but then we look very similar. So, and we don't stand out. Remember this story about looking for a good robe cloth color in England. Somebody was looking to buy some cloth that was the right color to offer to the monks, and they weren't able to find it. It was very difficult to find, actually, and to find this in England, and going around London actually searching for cloth that was that kind of earth tone color that we prefer. And eventually they kind of had a sample of cloth that they showed to somebody at a fabric store. Of course, this is normal to have in Thailand. You can find this cloth anywhere in Thailand because it's a Buddhist country and there's monks all over the place. But in England, it was very hard for this person to come across to find this cloth. And the person at the store said, "Oh, nobody wants that color. That doesn't draw attention to it." So normally in the world, that's what we do, is we try to wear things that will draw attention to us, have a hairstyle that people will say, "Oh, whoa, that is a crazy hairstyle," or "Oh, that's a nice hairstyle. I'm very attracted to that hairstyle," or "Whoa, that's totally off the wall. I really like that." So it's just, although I guess on one level we could be seen as very, very counterculture and kind of hip in one sense. But actually these colors don't really attract attention to them. So we can blend into the nature, we can blend into the forest, and we become like part of the nature here at Abhayagiri. So we have to retrain our mind to not be drawing attention to ourselves in various ways. And we might even, part of it can be difficult because if we look back on our life and think, "Oh yeah, how much was I going the opposite of the precepts, the opposite of the practice? How much was I going, actively cultivating the sense of self and the personality and really actively moving in that direction?" And so realizing that it's all just sunk cost, and it was a poor investment. We're going to make a new investment in what's really going to be efficacious and lead to our long-term welfare and happiness. And there is that acknowledgement that those things that we tried before and all the pleasures of the world that we've sampled before, they were genuinely gratifying, but in a very brief and fleeting way. And it's really the practice, the training of the heart, that leads to long-term contentment and well-being. And just having the robe and just having few possessions, having a bowl, just having the bowl and robes is that sense of simplicity leading to a feeling of being unburdened. And so we can delight in that. That's delighting in Dhamma, delighting in being unburdened, and then delighting in the Sila, which leads to the bliss of blamelessness, which is a type of contentment which lasts and doesn't just fade away after a brief gratification. It actually lasts and continues to build up. And also with the sense of mindfulness, having more precepts, there'll need to be more mindfulness. And also the robe, which is hard to keep on and it'll fall off sometimes, and you have to be more mindful to try to keep it on. And more mindfulness also means more contentment. And there's the saying in the Dhammapada that for one who is mindful each day, then each day is better than the previous day. Each day it gets better. It's always fresh. It's always refreshed. It doesn't get old. It doesn't get stagnant or stale. So when there's mindfulness, things are always fresh. Things are always bright and clean. And so we can take delight in that, wearing of the robes, that form of ordination. So I don't think I need to really go through the precepts one by one because you're well familiarized with these and with the relinquishment of the use of money. The Jata Rupa Rajata Padikahana is kind of a bit of a tongue twister, but you nailed it, fortunately, in the ordination. That's the not using or accepting money. And so when you take on the brown robes, say for the Anagārikas, they're no longer dependent, they're not yet dependent on Sangha Pali Foundation, on our steward organization, which looks after Abhayagiri, looks after the monastic community. But once you take on the brown robes, you now are dependent. You become eligible for being supported by Sangha Pali Foundation in a more direct way, and so you'll be more directly supported by the monastery because you can't go to the bank account. You can't just buy things for yourself. So things can be requested, and we will be happy to look after you as long as it's an appropriate request. Of course, if you're requesting to just, if you want to go jet setting around the world, we're not going to be able to fulfill that request just yet. If you stick around for long enough, that might be able to 10, 20 years, then then that might become more appropriate. But as a novice, you'll just be here training and then following along, doing the normal thing. And it is actually a great blessing to just to be here and not really need to go anywhere or do anything else, and just dive into the practice. So the next part of the ceremony is the taking of dependence formally. So I can invite you to come back up to the benches and start with the Namo Tassa and go into that.
Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Acharyo me bhante hohi ayasmato nisaya vachami. Acharyo me bhante hohi ayasmato nisaya vachami. Acharyo me bhante hohi ayasmato nisaya vachami.
O paikam
Sadhu bhante.
pati rupam
Sadhu bhante.
pasadikena sampadehi.
Sadhu bhante. Ajatige dani tero mayang baro ahampi terasa baro. Ajatige dani tero mayang baro ahampi terasa baro. Ajatige dani tero mayang baro ahampi terasa baro.
Sit comfortably again. So that taking of dependence you've requested, may the Venerable One be my teacher, may I take you as my teacher. And I've said, Opayikam pati rupang pasadikena sampadehi, which is something like, it is good, it is well, I'm okay with this, we're happy with this. So, but of course, not just me, it's the community as well, taking you on. And so, if you need anything, you can request from senior monks, and also people will help to train you further in, say, the alms round, which will be a new experience for you, having an alms bowl, going alms round and training and wearing the robes in both the one shoulder way, which you're doing now, and also both shoulders on alms round when you're outside of the monastery. And of course, the part of this is you get a new name as well. So here's your new name. And you can try to say it, and then I'll correct you and tell you how to say it.
Gunakaro?
Gunakaro.
Gunakaro.
Yeah, Gunakaro.
One who gives rise to all good qualities.
Yeah, so it was very close to when I handed you this little sticker that said quality guaranteed. I didn't realize it said that on that, but it said that's similar. That could be a possible translation of your name. Yeah. So Gunakaro, Venerable Gunakaro. And also on there, I'll have your Thai astrology kind of born on something. You can read it out.
Born on the 7th day of the waxing moon in the 3rd month of the wood pig year.
So when we choose these names, Luangpur Pasano taught me how to use this Thai astrology book. So and then when you get your monk's if you become a bhikkhu, you get your monk's identification, and then there's a whole design you have to do based on that. So it's one of the abbot duties is to learn basic Thai astrology. So, and Monday, you were born on Monday, so that's K, KH, G, or GH. So Gunakaro. Guna means quality. Karo is just to do or to give rise to. So to one who fulfills all wholesome qualities. So sadhu, welcome to the novice training, Venerable Gunakaro. And you'll join your fellow novice, Sāmaṇera Abhayo. And so yeah, that completes the ceremony. So I think you could just slide your mat over to there, and we'll close the evening. The Lunar Observance Day, this half moon mantra, if anybody does want to stay up for the vigil, they're welcome to. It'll be optional this evening, but and then tomorrow will just be an open day. So whatever closing chant our current chanting leader would like to do.
You chant on page 33, volume 1. You're the goodness that arises from my practice.
May my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana in every kind of birth. May I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold, nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble guide. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled.
Araham
Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivade.
Vakato
Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasam.
Supatipanno